you mentioned Tate. So if you're looking at someone like Tate and his like marketing strategy, like do you think that was like extremely effective, like really well thought out, really well articulated into his paid programs as like a creator, put it that perspective?
I think, yeah, from a marketing strategy, it was amazing, right? But I think probably crossed the line in a number of things to get to that point. But if you have decided to kind of not care about anything legitimate and you're going to make money through your own way and that's it, he kind of could take that risk. And to be honest, I've had the discussion with him, and it was about the same thing about legitimacy versus just money, around the topic of, if you say such polarizing stuff, it's going to be harder for the normal world to then want to work with you for different things. But if you have, so it just depends on what your personal goal is, right? Because he was selling content behind a paywall, and that's the only major revenue online, let's call it, that you want to have, then I guess the strategy works. And then what was the strategy is, yes, go onto people's episodes or podcasts, be as amazing as you possibly can be, and then cut that up and spread that on 7,000 different accounts, right? So yeah, it would work, but you'd have to be willing to be that person and forever to get those views across, by what you're saying again. So I think that depends on the person. But as a strategy, if you were to remove what he's saying as context and just look at what the thing was all about, reach, right? So right now, if your podcast channel you had 700 other accounts on YouTube posting the same content and clips, would you have more reach? You would. Will more people know about you? They would. So, if you have the means to do that, that's the beauty of online and social media. Social media platforms want you to post more content. They want you to have more accounts. So in that way, there's nothing wrong with it, because that's what the platforms are designed for. But it's not the way, I guess, everyone has learned how to make and spread content, right? You have your channel, you make your posts, and that's that. But this is like kind of gaming social media through distribution. So I guess that's probably the lesson here for anyone. Thing it's not about what he said. It's just, I guess, the strategy behind was smart and it worked. So yeah.
When we went back to how you were saying I should create the episode and create the topics and create the questions, he did that from the guest perspective without the host even intentionally knowing or intentionally or non-intentionally knowing.
So it works both ways. Even for thing, yes. That's why you'll see people come on, regardless of your question, people will say what they want to say because they have pre-planned it to be, this is going to hit hard. And I've seen this a lot. Jay Shetty does this. Lots of people do this. Like, you can ask me a question and the response would just be fully like, I've thought about these lines are going to be amazing and I'm going to find some time to say it. But again, that's just being smart. It's like a sales call, right? You get on a client. No matter what the client's asking you, at some point you're going to start saying, I have done this, I have done that, I can help you like this, I can do this for you. So it's a very similar thing. I guess you got to be in sales mode, selling your personal brand.
Of course, but it's going back to like books like Influence by Robert Cialdini, Key Person of Influence by Daniel Priestley. They talk about the same concepts, right? And now reading those books and looking at Tate's stuff over the last 2 years, you can clearly see that logical explanation of him positioning himself as an authority, him having the experience from kickboxing as well as like an entrepreneurship space, being able to help other people, so like the social proof, and then packaging this together, like led to this like virality effect of just craziness. Right? It was like one of the most crazy things of all time. So it's kind of like it's like the perfect ingredients to like a fucking to virality is basically all put together. Whereas that would be a contrast with other people, right? A lot of people that you work with, for instance, like Mike, I've heard Mike say on a podcast, like he's like, I don't want nothing to do with like drama online. He's like, I just don't want nothing to do with it. And that's quite interesting, right? Because two people that grew, obviously one bigger than the other, but two different strategies and got to a very big position as a result.
Like, it just depends on your personal goal. There's no right or wrong answer, right? It's about how fast you want to grow. But then you can have a bad side to it, which we saw. But then everyone's ambition is different. It's the same as business, right? If you just think of it as a business, businesses grow in different speed, different ambition, different goals, and it's the same as being a creator. So it just really depends on you and what you're trying to do. Mike is he likes to do what he wants to do. He wants to be comfortable with that. He wants to live the lifestyle that he likes, and he won't jeopardize that because of more ambition in business, for instance. So everyone has their own understanding of what they truly want, same as me for my business. And I think so that's what it all comes down to. It's not right or wrong. There are different abilities. So Mike also is value-based content. He had value, and that's what he gave to grow his audience. And that's probably one of the best ways, because he can sit and talk to camera and make a video and actually say something useful for somebody. Not that many people can do that. So I think that's the skill to really train, which will be worth a lot, ultimately.
That's interesting, right? Because that's one of the core competencies of this. And it's something that I work on a lot, my speech and getting across a message, whether it's a reel or a long form video. So I find it quite funny how that's like one of the core areas that people struggle with, because that's a big part of the business, right? This was a short clip from Kickoff Sessions podcast. Go check out the full episode right up here.